Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, are we teasing a new Switch release or are we just being polite? It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We are going to be talking about the news from the week, including the possibility of Kingdom Hearts coming to Switch. And then on Thursday, Mario Month continues as we discuss new Super Mario Bros. 2. But Mark, in the meantime, how's it going?
It's going great. I mean, not to jump ahead to what we've been playing, but I am experiencing new Super Mario Bros. 2 for the first time, and I'm really excited to talk about it.
Yeah, yes, again, look, we will talk about it on Thursday. I feel like it is such a weird time to be talking about a 3DS game. It's a weird time to be talking about an older Mario game that we've never played before. It's a fun little like whirlwind of stuff I don't totally understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mark, I have a foot update.
Oh, yes, please.
So you know how normally when I go for a walk, my ankles get dirty?
Yes.
So I've had these new shoes for a while that are very like low cut and obviously reveal my ankles. And I started feeling some foot pain recently.
Oh, no.
So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go for a walk today, but I'm going to put on my old running shoes. Running shoes that I had retired because I had these new shoes. Tell you what, no foot pain, but my ankles are still dirty.
So I feel like what we learned is, I'm actually not sure. Your ankles remain dirty, so that seems like the constant that we can all depend on. Like the sun setting and rising. And also, I guess your new shoes were not like good for your feet.
I mean, that's the conclusion that I'm coming to as well.
Okay, great.
Which is a bummer. I liked those shoes, but they're causing me physical pain. So they're out of here, man.
And yet, all like many women listening to this podcast are thinking the same thing about high heels, right? And they're like, Patrick, just suck it up if you like the shoes, if they look good.
I'm gonna say, don't try to go for a run in your high heels. That's my advice.
Weak, Patrick. Weak.
What? Also, speaking of weak, would you like to borrow my copy of Sonic Forces? Maybe someday. The game is currently missing in action. But if you would like to get on a list to borrow my copy, all you gotta do is email us at Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. And give us your mailing address, get on a list, and something will happen at some point. Mark, I feel like we have to make a decision about this pretty soon.
I think
we've been dragging our heels on it for a while.
I know. And we have some good options. We're still open to other options, but you're right. We just need to make a decision.
Right. And that decision will be coming down the pipe, and you will all hear about it for sure. Speaking of things coming up down the pipe, our Mario Memories episode is like a week and a half away. Mark, can you believe that we are almost upon it?
No, I mean, we've been talking about Mario Month for a long time, and the fact that we are almost at the end of Mario Month is frightening.
I mean, truly, because coming into Mario Month here, the month of October, the whole month we're doing Mario themed programming. We've had a nice like plan in place. Every week we talk about a Mario thing. In November, I don't know what we do. We got to come up with new ideas in November.
What a horrifying idea.
Yeah, I don't like it. But you still have time to get your Mario memories into us. So email us at Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. And just give us your Mario memories. Tell us what you remember about Mario, things that moved you, things that frightened you, whatever it is. We want you to send it to us. We will incorporate it into the show. We need those by no later than October 27th. That's the deadline. That's the cutoff.
That's only 1 week away. By the next time that you're listening to this news episode, we are hoping, we are praying that your Mario memory has been sent to us.
Right. So we will only remind you about this 2 more times. Get them in quick. Thank you so much to Dustin and Steven who have submitted them. Also, everyone else who has submitted in previous weeks. We appreciate that a lot. here's something fun. Tomorrow, the 21st, Wednesday, right? I'm getting all this right. Wednesday, October 21st. I'm appearing on Call Me By Your Game, which is a podcast that's hosted by Connor McCabe. Connor is a listener. You've heard me read his emails to you before. He's got a great show called Call Me By Your Game, where a guest comes on and talks about one game for a very long time and why it's important to them. I talked about Dead Rising.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It's a good one to talk about, and it was a fun episode to record. So please check it out. It'll be fun to listen to. I think it'll be fun to listen to.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. That's awesome.
So yes, check that out. And then finally, last and definitely not least, we are also coming right up on the election here. So just make sure that you are registered to vote, that you have a plan to vote. You know how and when and where. All of that is going to happen. Any last minute voting advice, Mark?
Yeah, vote for Joe Biden.
Yeah, absolutely. Vote for Joe Biden, and also vote early if you are able to. It will help. There's going to be a influx of voting both by mail and in person the closer we get, and let's just make sure all these votes count and that they all count for Joe Biden, because man, what a nightmare we're living through.
Yeah, and like down ballot races like really matter too. If you like, we live in California, so which is a state that has fairly progressive like voter laws. Like I sent in my mail-in ballot with a signature and I didn't need like a witness. Early voting is happening all the time. Like it's fairly easy in California to vote. That is not the case in every state, and state legislatures are the ones that make those laws. So if you are living in a state and you're like, wow, it's really difficult for me to vote, people are purposefully making it that way. And so vote for somebody who isn't going to make it that way.
And in every case, universally speaking, it is the more liberal candidates that want you to have access to the vote. Conservatives are trying to block your right to vote, which is frustrating. Everyone get out there and vote. It's important. And look, I know that in some cases we're probably preaching to the choir here. So like, hang tight, guys. We got this. Let's do it. We won't be talking about it forever. Unless, horrible things come of this election, and then we'll talk about it all the time. All right, Mark, that's enough of that. Let's get into what we've been playing this week.
So I don't really have much to say. I've mostly just been playing New Super Mario Brothers 2, and I'll talk about it on Thursday.
Oh, very good. I have also been playing New Super Mario Brothers 2, and we'll talk about it on Thursday. I've been playing a handful of other things, Mark, including the Pikmin 3 Deluxe demo that we talked about last week, and I said was sitting on my Switch, and I just hadn't had the opportunity to turn it on. And I think if we were to roll the tape back, we would hear me sort of poo-pooing it as something that I already played on the Wii U. I'm sure I affected that accent and everything. I played through it again. I gotta say, it's really cute and really fun, and I think I'm excited for the full game to come out. I'm such a sucker. Like I'm gonna buy and play this game again.
I'm curious because you still have like a Wii U that you use fairly often, and so I'm curious what about the demo made you feel like, ooh, I should get this on Switch instead of just play it on your Wii U?
I mean, that's a fair question. I don't really know that I have an answer other than like it just felt like sharper and snappier, and all of the little points of friction in the original seem to be alleviated here. There are just more options, and like everything about it felt like faster and brighter and more fun.
I've got to check out this demo. That I actually forgot that it came out. I need to download it because Pikmin is a series that I am personally not that excited by, but also have never really put any time into, and so I wonder if getting my hands on the demo would kind of change my mind about it.
The demo's a good representation of what it is too. Like it just starts you at the beginning, and you play through something like 3 days of actual content, which is fun, and you get to command Pikmin and rescue some other adventurers, and it's a fun time. Fully recommended it, and I'm sure there are going to be a lot of people in your exact boat, Mark, of like knowing Pikmin by reputation, but not really knowing the gameplay of it. So it's there. Check it out. It is fun. I also spent some time playing Super Mario Brothers 35. which is a game that I cannot quit. It is fun for me to play. I win every now and then, and that feels good. But mostly I'm bringing it up here because, Mark, we just did a whole episode about Mario spin-offs and which the best one is. And this is the third week in a row that I've talked about Super Mario Brothers 35, and we didn't have it in the running for best Mario spin-off.
Yeah, oops.
So we can put this in the debug category. Would it have well, I don't want to give away what our number one is, but do you think it would have had a shot against the other like heavy hitters in that category?
I think only because it hasn't been out that long that I would be hesitant to. I mean, as somebody who put Breath of the Wild like immediately at the top of their favorite Zelda list, I think I would hold off on putting Super Mario Brothers 35 too high up right now, but I think it would do decently compared to some of the other ones.
Yeah, I mean, also, especially if they pull it from the eShop and is no longer playable after March of this year, like there may be a rarity thing in there that we're like, ooh, remember Super Mario Brothers 35? It may become the stuff of legend.
Yeah,
so we can go back and revise the list if we have to. We also got an email about that episode from Janae. Janae writes, "Hi, Patrick and Mark. Your comments about pinball games last episode got me all excited because now I have an excuse to evangelize one of my favorite games of all time." Mark, are you ready for this?
I am ready for this.
Yoku's Island Express. It's a pinball Metroidvania, and it's delightful to play on the Switch, especially in handheld mode. The graphics are gorgeous, the soundtrack is delightful, and the pinball gameplay is engaging as heck. Oh, and it's funny too. Yoku's Island Express is one of the few games I've 100%ed, and I've come this close to 100%ing it twice. If I haven't sold you on it yet, there's a free demo on the eShop. Seriously, you must play this game. Cheers, Janae. So Mark, I have not played Yoku's Island Express. I did not know that there is a free demo, and I've mostly been led away from it by your counter recommendation.
Yeah, I put some time into Yoku's Island Express. I would say probably about 5 hours. Definitely, yeah, like not any more than 5 hours. I did not particularly enjoy it, but for me, it was more about like I got really frustrated at knowing kind of where I needed to get on the map, but I was finding like the pinballing to get there to be not particularly fun.
Yeah.
And there were times where I was like, oh crap, like this thing opened up, or now I know where I need to go to, but getting down there is going to be such a pain, or getting back up there is going to be such a pain that I didn't want to do it. So I was just like, and I'm just going to put it down. But I don't think it's it's just not a game for me. But
right.
I love
a game for me.
It totally might be. Yeah. I love when people write in with like enthusiasm for something that they're like evangelizing. So thank you so much for doing that, Janae.
Yes, thank you so much. Look, even though like the game reviewed really well, just having like the personal interaction with you being like, meh, it's the word of mouth thing, right? That like someone you know and trust is like, it's okay. But now we've got like here's another person that we know and trust. So I'm gonna check it out and I'll report back next week. I also continue to play Super Mario Picross on the SNES Switch Online. And it's just just a nice experience. It is still not as feature rich as normal Picross games, but I don't know. There's something about its 16-bit pixelated charm and the fact that there's Mario on one page and Wario on another page that I just like it. I don't know. I'm having a really good time with it.
Did I already ask you what the music is like? I have a vague recollection of you saying that it's like there isn't much music at all. Is that correct?
So there is some music. It is shorter and more repetitive than I'm used to in a Picross game, and using the Super NES sound chip, so like it doesn't sound like there's kind of like a new wavy kind of feel to like modern Picross music. This doesn't really have that. So I play most of it on mute while either listening to other music or listening to a podcast or something. So I cannot speak to the music. The music is something that we can speak to on Yoku's Island Express because one of the pieces from it was included in our Best Nintendo Music of All Time tournament, which ran for 3 whole episodes last year. So go and check that out and figure out where Yoku's Island Express landed in that one.
Yeah, definitely can't impeach like the production value of Yoku Island Express. It looks cute. It sounds great. That's where I end it.
Did you have a question about Super Mario Picross? I sort of pivoted off of it real quick.
Oh no, all I was going to say is that for whatever reason in my head, I imagined that the soundtrack would be like the soundtrack to Mario Paint, which is of course amazing. So that's kind of like what I wanted from a theoretical Super Mario Picross soundtrack. Sounds that is not the case though.
There is one of the, and I'm not going to be able to like hum it right now, but there is one of the like kind of victory music things, like when you complete a puzzle, that sounds very much like a little victory music sting in Super Mario World. Like it's using the same instruments and even has like some of the same like harmonic structure to it. And it's it's the one of the few things that like reminds me that I'm playing a Mario version of Picross, and I appreciate it when I do hear it. All right, that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
On Thursday, October 22nd, The Red Lantern is released on the Switch eShop. This was a game that was revealed in March 2019. Originally was supposed to be released at the end of that year, but then was pushed to 2020. It's like an indie game where you are like an Iditarod racer or somebody who is practicing for the Iditarod maybe, but then it becomes like a survival game.
Yeah, and looks cool. Looks like it
does
has.
Look cool.
It looks like it values whatever amount of like storytelling that there is in that. Yeah, it looks neat. I can't believe this game was announced March of 2019, or at least revealed to us at that time. That's a long time ago.
That is a long time ago.
Whew. That I'm very interested in that game.
Also on the 22nd, Torchlight 3 is released on the Switch eShop. And then on the 23rd, Cadence of Hyrule Crypt of the Necrodancer featuring The Legend of Zelda is released in retail form, so you can pick that up. And then also, it's a bumper day for my favorite subgenre that I don't play, which is just really specific simulators. You're getting Truck Driving Simulator, Farm Mechanic Simulator, and Truck Mechanic Simulator.
But no farm driving simulator? It seems like they're leaving out one crucial quadrant there.
Well, I think if I were to guess, I think there is a farm simulation game. And it's probably kind of like the FIFA of farm simulator games where you're like, how do I compete against this? So I'm not even going to try. So you have to find your own like niche. So you create Farm Mechanic Simulator. I am interested to know how Farm Mechanic Simulator differs from Truck Mechanic Simulator. If you are a simulator enthusiast like myself, but you actually play the games and you know the difference between the two, please let me know. These are my favorite types of games to talk about that I do not play.
I mean, only one of these games are you going to be working on the rotary blades of a Thrasher, and that's got to be the Farm Mechanic Simulator, right?
You would think so, but we don't know that for sure. We don't know what kind of trucks it is.
It's true. We need to do some in-depth investigation here. So we mentioned that Cadence of Hyrule is coming out. I didn't realize that the full name of the retail version is Cadence of Hyrule Crypt of the Necrodancer, featuring The Legend of Zelda. It's as though they felt they needed to cram The Legend of Zelda in there somewhere, but we're also like totally content to like leave it way at the end. Like it's weird search engine optimization.
Yeah, it's my favorite type of like naming convention for this sort of thing. Like we've talked about like Disney rides where it's not they can't just call it the Little Mermaid ride. It has to be like Ariel's Undersea Adventure, the Little Mermaid or something like that.
Well, okay, so the Millennium Falcon ride at Galaxy's Edge, what is it called?
Smuggler's Run.
Is that it, or is it Millennium Falcon : Smuggler's Run?
I guess it actually could be either. It could be like Smuggler's Run, a Millennium Falcon adventure, or
presented by Star Wars.
Yeah, from the creative mind of George Lucas. But I actually think you might be right that it is Millennium Falcon : Smuggler's Run. Are you looking it up right now?
Yeah. It looks like so on the Disney World website, It says Millennium Falcon : Smuggler's Run. Okay. And so the Wikipedia page for it calls it Star Wars : Millennium Falcon dash Smuggler's Run. No apostrophe. Smuggler's Run. That's a conceptual nightmare. All right, Mark, let's close this out. Now it is time for a regular segment on our show. It is time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. It is October, so we are only doing spooky topics. This is spooky topic number 4. We are ranking the Halloween creatures, the classic Halloween creatures. Mark, you've pulled a couple Halloween creatures here, and I want to know what criteria you use to establish these creatures.
Okay, well, first I was like, okay, really, I can only think of 3, and that I would say are like really just like standard Halloween creatures. Yeah. And I think it's witches, ghosts, and goblins. Full stop. I think that's it. I think those are your Halloween creatures. And then if you want to broaden it a little bit, which I did, and debatably we can cut these characters out, it's vampires, werewolves, and zombies. But I think at that point you're conflating, like, they're not like classic harvest monsters in the way that witches, ghosts, and goblins are.
I mean, I do like including them, and they are just different enough from last week when we did the Universal monsters, because vampires are not Dracula. Dracula is a vampire, sure, but this is different.
Yeah.
And werewolves are not wolfmen. Look, these are different creatures, all right? Let's get it straight. We're talking werewolves here. And zombies, look, there's about to be a podcast episode of me talking about zombies for 2 hours. Check out Call Me By Your Game. So I, of course, want to rank zombies in there. I looked up a quick list. I looked for lists of Halloween monsters, and I found a list on the Student and Writers blog of 200 creatures for Halloween.
So, are you saying that's the list we should use?
I'm saying, look, here, I'm just going to run through them real quick, and you tell me what you like. Banshee, Basilisk, Bats, Beast, Behemoth, Black Cats, Boogeyman. Boogeyman is on here twice. Bones, Corpse, Creature. These are bad.
Creature, yeah, I disagree.
Beast?
A black cat, I feel like, is not a Halloween creature. It's a just regular creature that you see everywhere. Objection.
It's an animal.
Is where I'm leading.
Yeah. That's good. So you want to put Phoenix Wright on here as well?
I do have a question. I included goblins on here. To me, that was like an obvious pick, and yet I think I would have difficulty describing what exactly a goblin is,
especially in a Halloween context, right? But like ghosts and goblins is such a standard kind of Halloween thing. What do we think the difference is between a ghost and a goblin in the Halloween sense?
I think a goblin is more like demonic. I think like a goblin is more based in like hell than a ghost is like an apparition, a spirit from somebody who's died. A goblin is not that. A goblin is just like an evil creature.
Yeah, I would say a goblin is maybe even more like a poltergeist or a yokai or something, where like it's a supernatural being of some kind.
But I think they're more corporeal. Yeah, I think they're not like an apparition. Like I think they're more like a gremlin or something like that.
Sure.
I think demon is probably closest that I would describe. Without like a goblin is close to being a demon without like crossing over into demonhood.
Right, without necessarily being connected to hell. Let me ask you this. Have you seen Ernest Scared Stupid?
I've seen part of it, and it was too scary for me.
So there are trolls in that. And I think that's probably what my mind goes to when we talk about goblins in a Halloween sense.
Okay.
Because they're short, they're ugly, they're bumpy. Yeah, they want to eat your flesh or something.
I think that's the problem for goblins. It's why most, like if you were forced at gunpoint to draw a goblin,
right?
I don't know that you'd have any consensus among anybody that what a goblin should look like.
Yeah, I think people would go Tolkien on it, right? Give them like make them small and green,
like an orc.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we've got at least some sort of idea of what we're talking about with goblins, which means we have a clear idea of all these things, right? So which of these do you have early favorites between witches, ghosts, goblins, vampires, werewolf, and zombie?
I feel like witches and ghosts are going to be at the top of my list.
I think witches for sure the top of my list. If for no other reason than I feel like witches are normally pretty shortchanged. Like Halloween is their time. If there is one Halloween monster, well, if there's like only one, it is the witch.
Yeah.
So for me that's an easy number one. Why do you put ghosts so high? Just because it's like
Well, I feel like ghosts can be like so many different things, and their purpose can be, well, I guess we'll never know for sure. I think I will say that zombies would be very low on my list.
because you don't like zombies or because they don't feel Halloweeny to you.
They don't feel that Halloweeny, and like they are very passive, right? They're like some of these other
Sure.
like things are acting out of their own volition, and zombies are just kind of, I mean, they are mindless.
Right. And also, zombies good in numbers, but like on their own, come on. Also, zombies too effective of a metaphor for other things, so like get them out of here. We were accompanied today by cellist Timotheus Petrin and pianist George Zhioyan Fu. All right, Mark, let's get into the news.
Did Kingdom Hearts producer Tetsuya Nomura hint at something new being in the works for Switch? This is a question we are posing. Nobody knows the answer to. Nomura and Masanobu Suzui sat down with Japanese magazine Nintendo Dream to discuss Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory, the new Kingdom Hearts rhythm game that is coming to consoles later this year. At the end of the interview, as translated by Nintendo Everything, Suzui and Nomura have this exchange. Suzui says, "It was a rare opportunity for you," speaking of Nomura, "to appear in a Nintendo Dream article with a Kingdom Hearts title that you were involved in." And Nomura says, "I'm sure I'll be back in the not too distant future." Is this a real hint, or is this just somebody being polite?
I mean, it could very well just be someone being polite. But like it's time, right? Like why wouldn't the Kingdom Hearts games be on Switch? I can understand maybe 3 not being on there, but like where are the old ones? Why aren't there new games? They Square Enix was pretty supportive of the handhelds. Like they all got their own Kingdom Hearts games.
Yeah, you would think that it would be. It seems like it should be fairly easy. Do you remember, like, probably like 2 years ago, there were rumors that maybe they were looking at porting the early games over. But now I feel like with Dragon Quest XI's Echoes of Elusive Age Definitive Edition for Nintendo Switch, that was like in the works for so long, and basically what we learned is that they had to essentially rebuild the entire game. For like the Unreal version of Unreal Engine 4 that ran on Switch. And so I have no idea what engine the original 2 Kingdom Hearts games were built on, or what like the remasters were built on, but it doesn't seem like it's just as easy as, like putting those ROMs onto a disc,
Sure,
or onto like a game cart that runs on Switch. So I wonder if that's like the reason they didn't, is that like technically it'd just be so much work to have to do that.
Yeah, I wonder if there's also just like there's such a like distance between Kingdom Hearts games, right? Like there was so much time before Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, which that was just last year, right?
I think so, yeah. Like the beginning of 2019. That sounds right.
Back when Red Lantern was first revealed for
right,
for
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, maybe they like just needed that to have its own like, big beat and then also this year for Final Fantasy VII to have its own big beat. And well, I mean, I don't know. The Square Enix's slate is so strange. Because like they obviously have Final Fantasy 16 coming out at some point too. But if they just kind of wanted to goose their numbers a little bit in the interim, putting out a Kingdom Hearts would be a good idea. Mark, did you know that there is a Melody of Memories demo available on all the platforms?
Ooh, that was another one that was another one that I meant to download just to see what the heck this game is like.
Yeah, I did not download it. Every time I see footage of this or Final Fantasy Theatrhythm, I'm like, what the heck? It just straight doesn't make sense to me. I'm sure it is fun to play, especially if you know the music. But I don't really know Kingdom Hearts. But I know Disney songs, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm interested to. I would love to try it. I'm hoping that there's like a boss battle in it, because when they were in the trailer, when they were showing a boss battle, it conceptually did not make any sense to me what was going on or how it worked, and so that I'm super interested. But to your point, like I feel like Kingdom Hearts, like Kingdom Hearts 3 was a really big deal in when it finally came out. But I'm sure that not every door in Kingdom Hearts is closed. And so even if like the mainline games don't show up on Switch in some capacity, like you were saying that there's been handheld versions like those like spin-off games that were building up to 3 for so long, and in a year or two, why wouldn't there be like another entry that isn't a main numbered entry that's showing up on a system?
I mean, one of them was specifically built for the 3DS, right? Dream Drop Distance through the 3D DDD. Like that's so like they've developed 4 Nintendo platforms before. Certainly they can do it again. Mark, do you think there's any possibility that Nomura is like, oh, maybe I'll be back when they announce that Sora is coming to Smash Brothers?
I mean, look, I'll never say never with the Smash Brothers characters, especially like we talked about. Like, I don't know what else they have left.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Sora is the one of the few like sort of outstanding wishes of like hardcore fans that make sense. Like Goku's never going to be in this thing, Master Chief's never going to be in this thing, but like Sora maybe could.
Yeah, Sora you could. I feel like if Sora showed up, that it would be taking those like Square Enix elements and putting them into the game, because I have a difficult time imagining, although it would be super cool to get like some of the Disney stuff to cross over.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you would do it without having Donald and Goofy like at least making appearances in like Sora's final smash or something. Yeah, but I mean, could you ever get Disney to? Maybe Disney would be cool with it, right?
I wonder if it would be. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, who knows? Like you're talking about 2 companies that are like. I feel like Shigeru Miyamoto sees Disney and like Mickey Mouse as like competition, and so I don't know that they would necessarily want to team up. But crazier things have happened.
It's true.
When version 1.5 of Stardew Valley launches sometime in the future, it's going to include split screen co-op for the first time.
Hey,
which, co-op has been in the game for a few years now, but it required multiple machines and copies of the game. But so this will be the first time that you'll be able to play on the same system with another person in real time, which sounds like a lot of fun.
It sounds so chill and possibly pointless, but like still very fun. I didn't really mention it while we were talking about what we've been playing this week. But I'm still playing Animal Crossing, New Horizons. We just got a new neighbor. His name is Ed. He's a horse. And it remains exponentially more fun to run around that island with Sarah, even though like the whoever's in the second place position has like no real ability to do anything. It's still, what are you ever doing in Animal Crossing anyway? It's the same sort of thing in Stardew Valley. It's just nice to experience it with another person.
Totally. I mean, the funny thing about Stardew Valley is like when I was reading this, I was like, oh my gosh, like you'd be able to like double your productivity. Your farm could be like so amazing, because normally you're so, like, and I guess it's true for the online version, playing online co-op as well. But like when you're doing it by yourself, you kind of have to prioritize and be like, okay, today I'm going to go down into the mines.
Yeah.
And so, like I'm going to have to neglect these other things in order to do it. But now you could like be doing both things at once. Is blowing my mind. Super exciting. Also, players are going to be able to move their bed for the first time.
Oh my
which,
god!
Again, something you haven't been able to do. No word on when version 1.5 might release. This, like so much of Stardew Valley, including the core game itself, is being developed by a single person. So you just have to be patient.
Where are you going to put that bed, Mark?
Oh man, I am totally fine with where my bed is now, but I might move it a little bit to the left just because I can now.
Where the bed kind of defaults to like the back wall in the main room, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
So like you're
moving it a little to the left, does that put it in the corner?
no, it doesn't.
Okay.
It just moves it more towards the kitchen.
Okay.
Although I think if memory serves me right, like I'd expanded my house quite a bit. So me and my husband were living there, and I think once you build like a bedroom, your bed moves into there.
Oh, okay.
So it's not in like the starting location anymore.
Well, that's nice. If you want to put your bed against a wall, you can. If you want to put it right in the middle of the room, you can. These are important. These are important choices.
And basically your only options. The Outer Worlds is getting a patch for Switch tomorrow, October 21st. So the full patch notes haven't been released, but on Twitter, the game's official account shared pre and post patch screenshots, and it looks like a sizable update. I played this game when it was released. Oh geez, was that like over the summer on Switch?
Yeah.
And had a really good time playing it. Couldn't recommend playing it on Switch because it was $60 and technically didn't run all that great. So if you could get it somewhere else for a lot cheaper, which you could, it was better to play on those systems. But I really enjoyed my time with it. It was so much like Fallout my experience with Fallout 3, which I really enjoyed my time with Fallout 3. And this game reminded me a lot of that, except being in space instead of on Earth. So I really recommend it. Hopefully the patch fixes a lot of the technical problems. The early screenshots that they're sharing are promising. Also on Thursday, the game is going on sale on Switch. No, I couldn't find like what the price is going to be on sale, but if it drops, to like $40, I think I would recommend it. And then also, the game on other platforms already has the Peril of Gorgon DLC. It is coming to Switch at some point. We don't have any information other than that, but I'm definitely going to be picking it up when it does come out because I enjoyed my time with it enough that I want to do it some more.
Yeah, and if the game has been stabilized some in the meantime with this update that's coming out tomorrow, then you'll have a little bit smoother experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe. Or maybe the update will break everything. Like, no, we don't know at this point.
Yeah, that's a good point though, because like, I don't think when the update lands, I'm gonna like, I've removed it from my Switch. I don't think I'm gonna jump back in or anything. But it will be. So the DLC would be a good opportunity to go in and see like how big of a difference it did make.
It's always an interesting thing to like play a game at launch, or when it launches on a whatever platform. And then like put it away for a while, and then there's like a big DLC thing that comes out, and so much has changed in the interim, like so many little tweaks that like your fundamental experience of the game has changed. That's a weird phenomenon and a weird part of playing games in 2020.
I know it is a weird phenomenon. It's also weird when you're like, oh, I mean, logically, right? With every game that comes out, it's like I probably shouldn't buy this at launch, really. Because it's going to be, if it's not a Nintendo game, it's going to be less expensive in like 8 weeks.
Right.
Like there's, but, and if, like there's going to be patches and like content updates. So the game in a year from now is going to be so much better than the game today. And yet I continually buy new releases.
I mean, we all do, right? Even when we have like older games just sitting on our consoles or sitting on our shelves that we still want to play. And we're just like, no, I'll get the new thing. I feel like I am currently in that space with the PlayStation game Ghost of Tsushima. That is a game that I want to play, and I wanted to buy it when it was new. But it was like kind of right around the period where I bought Last of Us 2. So I was kind of like new gamed out at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And also I moved right on to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I've been playing a lot of not Nintendo games this year, I guess. But yeah, I feel like I'm far enough away from the original release that like I can wait for like a year or whenever when the game is $20 and has like a bunch of DLC and stuff. It's all free, and I can just buy it in one Game of the Year edition collection or whatever.
I know it is weird that there's like that threshold, that undefinable threshold where you're like, I want this, I need this, I need it. And then if you can get past that threshold, you're like, okay, it doesn't matter. I could totally live without it.
Right. I can live without it for as and I mean the danger is that maybe you go too far and you're just like, "Oh, I just do live without it forever."
Yeah, but that's fine. There's enough new
Of
media all
course.
the time. Yeah.
Right. I was being a little bit facetious when I identified it as a danger, but yes.
In the run up to the release of the new Xbox next month, sidebar, do we is the new Xbox? I guess it's really two consoles. Like it's easy to say like the new PS5,
Right.
the Switch. Do we just call it Xbox? Is it the Xbox Series X? Is that like the what would you call the new Xbox? Just new Xbox?
I mean, I would call it Series X or S. Like
Okay.
I think I would specifically call it out. Well, because one of the things that they are, what was revealed or announced a couple weeks ago was that the Xbox Series S will not take advantage of the upgrades that games that were optimized for Xbox One X got that the regular didn't. So like there are two separate like lines of development here within the S and X series of consoles, which means that like Xbox One X leads directly to Xbox Series X and Xbox One S leads directly to Xbox Series S. So like it is more complicated than it need be. And I think they kind of are two separate consoles, even though they play most of the same games.
Yeah, I
Kind of
gotcha.
same,
Okay.
all the same games, just a little bit
Yeah.
differently.
Yeah. Okay, I gotcha. Here we go. In the run up to the release of the new Xboxes, there you go.
Perfect.
Next month, Xbox head Phil Spencer has been making the rounds, doing interviews with various websites. And one topic that's come up repeatedly is Microsoft's relationship with Nintendo. In Kotaku, and I'm just kind of like summarizing this. So in Kotaku, he says that Microsoft has had a good relationship with Nintendo. Clearly, we see like Banjo Kazooie and Minecraft characters show up in Smash Brothers. We've seen games that were previously Xbox exclusives also show up on Switch.
Ori, Cuphead.
Exactly, yeah. But he Spencer also says that like quote, it doesn't feel sustainable to consider Xbox games on a case by case basis for Switch. And that quote, in order to really support it, I would want a full Xbox ecosystem somewhere. And that probably means things like Live and Game Pass and stuff.
Which what does that mean? What does he think he's saying there?
I think he's saying that like it doesn't really make sense for us to continue to do this thing where we're like, well, like this game, like one off, yeah, let's do all the work to put this on like a different platform to put on Nintendo Switch when they have, like this Game Pass program that ideally they want that users to be able to, play their Game Pass games anywhere. And if that includes like systems from Nintendo or even Sony, like all the better for them. Just how like Microsoft Word is available on Mac or on your iPhone or your Android device. And so I think like that's the world that he wants to live in where like, yeah, like ideally we'd be making these games once and then they would show up everywhere. But obviously based on previous comments, like it doesn't seem like Nintendo or Sony are super excited about that idea.
Yeah, I mean, why would you want that? Especially when there are games on Game Pass that are third party developed, like not by Xbox Game Studios, that would be available on those other platforms anyway. If there's like a free or free with subscription way to play it on Game Pass on your Switch that doesn't give any money to Nintendo, why would Nintendo allow that? It doesn't that doesn't seem sustainable to me. The Phil Spencer has been like you mentioned, like going on a lot of these like interviews in support of the new Xboxes, which is very good. And it like I don't know if it's just because he's being asked like a million questions and has to talk about this thing all the time, but I feel like some of his answers are getting like a little loose and a little like no one really knows what to make of it. I read a snippet of an interview where someone asked him about Banjo Kazooie. And his answer was generally along the lines of like, "Oh yeah, Rare can make whatever they want. I don't care."
Oh yeah.
It's like
I saw
you
that.
don't care. Like I think he's being hit with a lot of questions that are asking enormous questions about the gaming industry, and he's doing his best to like sort of present it on the fly when really all he wants to do is sell Xboxes. So
right, yeah.
I think it's easy to make a lot out of not that much.
I think that's a great point. Goodfeel, the developer of games like Kirby's Epic Yarn, Yoshi's Woolly World, and Yoshi's Crafted World, is working on a new game for Switch that it looks to be an original IP, not like based on some another Nintendo property. In an interview with Famitsu, Goodfeel president Utsunobu Ibusu teased the game, showing off some concept art which has like a cute animated style and has the look of a Japanese like fishing village a little bit. It looks really cute. That's all we have to go off right now, but I think earlier this year or last year Goodfeel created their first self-published game, and so this is, I believe, will be their second whenever we learn more about it.
So are we to believe that this will not be exclusive to Nintendo platforms?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we don't. Based on the little bit that I was reading, they were only talking about it in the context of the Switch, but that's probably because I read it on a Nintendo website. So
yeah, absolutely. It makes sense. Yeah, I mean it's interesting. These are the Goodfeel develops these games that are always very like chill platformers, very beautiful, like immersive, interesting style. But not the most challenging sort of games out there. I'm a fan of these games. I really like Epic Yarn and Woolly World and Crafted World. But I recognize that they are not necessarily for everyone. Mark, I know you're famously not that excited about games these guys make. Is this one maybe different just based on the style, or?
Yeah, I would be interested to see what it is. From the concept art, it's hard to tell if it's like a platformer like those games are, or if it's more of like an adventure game or an RPG, or like has more exploration elements to it. So I'm excited to learn more. I find like the concept art that they showed off really appealing, and it's not like a company that I dismiss out of hand. Just though their take on those like platformers, just not something I've ever been really excited about. And then finally, the NPD Group released their September sales tracking numbers, and Nintendo Switch was once again the best-selling hardware for the month, which means that the Switch set a new record as the best-selling console for 22 months in a row.
Wow. So they can probably hang on to that for October, and then like the real contest begins with the release of the new consoles, right?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think like NPD, they report everything they report now is based on revenue, so and not units sold. And they may in like the months ahead make a distinction, because like I guess the cheapest of the new Xboxes, the Xbox Series S, is the same price as a Nintendo Switch, $300. But the Series S is $100 more than that.
No,
I think, right?
it's 500 as is the PlayStation 5.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so like if you're basing it purely on revenue, depending on how many units, like Microsoft and Sony are able to ship in November, that definitely could change. I was surprised that
oh,
go ahead.
Sorry, just to jump in on that point. It also seems like both Sony and Microsoft are putting more of their like development power behind releasing the more expensive consoles at this point. It was much easier on pre-order days for both systems to get the either the X or the like full PlayStation 5, the $500 version of either, than it was to get the $300 or $400 versions. So I think they're leading with those, and well, the other ones will be available in much smaller numbers, at least at launch.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. I was also surprised that like the PlayStation 2 didn't dominate this. Like it didn't have a streak that was longer than 22 months.
Yeah.
But I guess like both the DS and the Game Boy Advance, because the Game Boy Advance sold really well in the United States, I think. So I mean, it did well everywhere, but especially well in the US. So I wonder if like those interrupted what would have been its streak otherwise.
I mean, the PlayStation 2 also probably just charted in like second place forever, right? For like a decade straight. That thing like didn't stop selling.
Yeah.
All right, great. So that's that. I for whatever reason, I thought we were like driving towards a specific conclusion, or that you had one more point to read. But that's it. We've done it. We've done the news. Mark, let's close it out. Okay, that's going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. If you like the episode, please share it on Facebook or Twitter or wherever you share stuff. We appreciate it when you do. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell, and the show is at Nin Cart Society. We also have a Facebook page, which is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying, why don't you draw us a goblin and send it to us, and we'll acknowledge that as canon, that's the goblin. And thanks for listening.
Hi, I'm Michelle Varay.
And I'm Kimberly Trung, and we are the host of Crush Fictionally, a podcast all about your favorite fictional characters from movies, TV shows, and more.
Each episode, we pick a theme, curate a list of characters that we love, why we love them, and some fun facts about the people who created them.
So if you've ever felt a true connection with a fictional character,
tune in to Crush Fictionally on Campfire Media.
Or wherever you find your podcast.
Campfire.